Okay, this presentation is entitled Responsible Students Teaching 21st Century Skills. I am a teacher at Altamont Lutheran School in Altamont, Illinois, and currently working on my master's at Concordia, Wisconsin in educational technology, and will hopefully be graduating in May with that degree. And I chose this topic. Hopefully we can have some sharing going on. I know Kevin and Mark and Allison, hopefully you have some ideas to share and to contribute. Feel free to jump in with any questions. I'm going to try to keep up with both as best I can with our sharing situation here. So make sure I get my notes up here. Okay. All right. I just want to put a plug in for the MTM project. That's how I got started in the educational master's program. So if you're interested in that, mtmproject.org, check that out. Digital citizenship is something that within the last 2 years I started teaching with my computer students. I came across the term just in, researching and things like that. The definition that I like the best is found in the Ribble and Bailey text that I'm going to talk about. It can be described as the norms of appropriate responsible behavior with regard to technology use. And the way I like to describe it when people ask me what it is when I tell the parents what we're going to be talking about is how to be responsible when we're using our digital tools, whether it be online or offline. Cell phone or computer, anything, Xbox 360s, anything that you can communicate with others digitally. And that usually seems to really get the parents' attention because a lot of parents are not either doing this or they're not sure how to talk to their kids about it. And so the parents have really been receptive to this at our school and really appreciate it. The question that I usually start out with my students is to ask them what it means to be a citizen. I try to relate this whole topic to something in the physical world, and a lot of times that really helps connect it, especially at the younger ages. And then I ask them how it applies to the online world. How can we apply what citizenship is to that? The book that I'm going to reference most of the stuff in the presentation is called Digital Citizenship in Schools. It's an ISTE book. It came out in 2007. There is a new edition coming out, probably to address some of the new standards and new material that have come about. Technology is always changing, and so is the information here. And so there's a picture there of the book title and what you would look for if you were going to purchase this book. It is very user-friendly, and I pulled just a lot of the lessons out and use them right from the text. There's also professional development ideas in here for your teachers and for yourself. The lessons are very easy to adapt to your situation. Our school currently, our students are not online in the computer lab as a group. The teachers are using online tools in their classroom, but due to some situations here, we just don't have them online. So I have to do a lot of adopting with this, but it also brings up good discussion with the kids. They have a lot to share about their own experience a lot of times. So this also covers NETS standards, as well as it would be easy to apply to your state standards as well. Here are the 9 elements that they formulate into the digital citizenship term. These are all things that contribute to that. A lot of times the kids, when I talk about digital citizenship, the first thing they think of is Facebook or MySpace. That's what they're doing quite a bit, a lot of the older ones, and they don't realize what all is involved. So these are the 9 areas that are covered in the book. They do overlap quite a bit, as you'll see, and I'm going to try to get through these pretty quickly because I'd like to have some time for sharing. The first one, access, is having full electronic participation in society. So do all of your students have technology? An example of this would be one-to-one laptops, which is being talked about quite a bit in our schools. So getting access to the kids. There's other examples that they give you in the book, but this is just a summary of these. Commerce, buying and selling of goods online, eBay, Amazon. I included iTunes in this because the students are getting on and purchasing music. And feel free, if you have questions about any of these, I know I'm going quite fast, just feel free to stop and put a message there in the chat, and I'll try to get to that. Digital communication. This is the electronic exchange of information, texting, email, Skype, IM chat, Facebook, cell phone use, anything that they use to communicate. I know this is the new one to me is the video game capabilities that our kids, a lot of them are playing video games, and now they can share that with others around the world. I don't really think that they realize their full capabilities in this area. And so this is one that I talk about quite a bit, and I tie it into a lot of the other areas of digital citizenship. Literacy, the capability to use digital technology and knowing when and how to use it. And my question to you is, do students fully understand their capabilities? Do they know what appropriate use and inappropriate use are? And can they distinctly tell the difference between the two? This is one where I am trying to teach I'm starting in 5th grade, trying to teach them to choose their method of how they're going to gain information. A lot of them think Google is the answer to everything, and it's not. They need to understand what the best way to get the information is. And this is one that it's just an ongoing lesson. I think that even at the high school level, students really don't quite understand everything that they have at their fingertips and what power they do have with technology. So this is one that just I spend a lot of time on this too, just hitting on different areas. Digital etiquette, standards of conduct expected by other technology users. This is one that I think students don't realize how their actions affect others and what they are capable of when they are using their technology. My standards obviously are probably a lot different than my students. When I use my cell phone, I'm not going to get it out in class and be texting someone in the middle of my lesson. Whereas if we were in a social situation with our students and we were conversing with them, they would probably be possibly getting out their cell phones and texting each other, maybe even texting you. So this is one where their level of standard is different. Couple questions I have there are, do we all have different standards? Should there be a universal standard? And do students realize how their use of technology affects other people? This, I'm always amazed at meetings that I go to with other professionals, and you're in the meeting talking with the people face to face, yet even as adults, there are quite, people in the meeting, maybe on their iPhone or BlackBerry, catching up with information, responding to emails. It's just amazing how our brains are taking in so much information and trying to process that in the digital world. So this is another one that kids don't always have manners in the real world, and applying that to the digital world really is more just getting them to think about their actions. Thank you, Kevin. That is something as well, getting the teachers to retrieve the information and teaching them how best to do that. Especially teachers who are maybe not digital natives, so to speak, which I would consider myself not a digital native, but I am more acclimated to the world of technology more so than teachers who are maybe have been in the profession longer than I have. So I think that is a good point. Thank you. Digital law, legal rights and restrictions governing technology use. This is a big one that I discuss: copyright, file share sites, and sexting. What do our students view as internet police? My students, we get into a big debate about LimeWire, and me explaining to them, what they're actually doing, and is it right, is it wrong. And as a Lutheran educator, a Christian educator, I find that it is, with all of these concepts, it's very easy to tie into the Ten Commandments and what God is saying, and the Christian, the gospel into this, very easily. And this is one where we talk about, do we have rules as Christians that are different than those that are not Christians when we are doing our online activities? And just making them aware of what does it mean to steal, what does it mean to follow, to honor our father and mother, even when we're in our online world, when we're not in the physical world. Rights and responsibilities, how we use material online, cyberbullying, what do we do when we encounter that, and plagiarism. I find the cyberbullying is just as hard to teach students how to deal with as it is when you're talking about just regular bullying in the physical sense. So this is one that is pretty popular right now with a lot of what goes on the social networking sites. Health and wellness, this is just something that we kind of hit on. I just tied in all year about good posture, ergonomics. I feel like this one is more something that you can do prior to the actual lessons of computers in general. You just kind of need to tie it in. Time on the computer and addiction. I talk about that a little bit. Kids are online and engaged a lot of the time, more so than they were, I'd say 5 years ago, even a year or two ago. Kids are just really into being online and being connected in that way. I know you see them texting each other when they're sitting right next to one another, and just amazes me that they would rather do that. Even with parents, they would rather text their parents rather than call them up and tell them what they're doing. So it's an interesting aspect of our digital world. Digital society, this one I talk a lot about virus protection. I don't really get into hackers and phishing too much. Those are just examples of what that entails. Obviously the book that I referenced ties into high school. Even you could tie it into college areas as well. But I do talk about how they can protect their identity online, not sharing information about where they are, what school they attend, being careful about who they talk to online. The younger ones are very familiar with stranger danger, and you can tie that in really easily to online. They are getting on at a younger age and communicating with one another and sharing with each other. A lot of the children's sites do have places where you can communicate with other younger children, and teaching them, to remember that we don't always know who's behind that screen, who's on the other side of that name. So this one at the younger age, I think, is easier to start because they are familiar with that concept. Okay, I just want to talk maybe about 5 minutes, just share with you some things that I'm doing here at my school. In the book, there are some foundational lessons that just get the kids thinking. There's one lesson that I do that I give them a situation, different ones that give a scenario of what, of two students or a group or a single student doing something that applies to one of the 9 concepts. And I split them into groups, and they talk about what's inappropriate in the situation or what was appropriate. And they share that with the class, and it really does bring about a lot of discussion. And that's what a lot of this, I think, just talking to kids and discussing it with them, the conversation is not happening a lot of the time. And having the conversation with students, they are not stupid. They know what's going on in the world. And even if they don't know what's going on in the world, there is some benefit to sharing with them what is going on. I know in Missouri there was the case of the student that committed suicide over something that was tied to a MySpace page. And I don't get real into the whole suicide aspect of the story there, but I do bring it up and share it with my students to point out that we really have to be careful of what we are doing online, because we don't know how it's affecting the other person. A lot of what goes on online goes on in the digital world is read and not necessarily heard. For example, the communication that takes place on social networking sites, which is so near to our students, is by words. And we just talked about this yesterday in my class, that what you see and what you read online can be read over and over and over again. It is so much different than hearing it once from someone's mouth. And I said it would be like if I recorded my conversation and played it over and over and over again for you. That would be hard to hear some of those things if we were communicating in a negative way. But that's what goes on online. They are reading over and over and over again. It's there permanently. And so just getting them to think about that. I'm going to go ahead and let's see if I can do this. Hopefully I don't have any problems. I am going to, I don't know if I can, I think I can. Got my other screen up here. I'm going to share an example of something that one of my, what we were doing yesterday was sharing a movie project. I don't know if I can do this or not. Let's see. Let me stop sharing that and let me bring up my other project here. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. Let's see. Let me shrink it down a little bit. There we go. Oh, too much. What you're seeing here is a Scratch project, and I like to use this with my students. It's easy programming, computer programming language that kids understand. If you haven't heard of it, you can go to the MIT website. I don't know the exact website, but you can go there and download this. It's free. My kids love it. The younger ones really want to learn how to do it. I started in 5th grade, but you could probably do a little bit in 4th grade. It's a little bit complicated in the step-by-step process, but it really gets them to think about what they're doing and how they're setting up their little cartoon. If you notice, here is the script, and I'm just going to play this for you. You can kind of see what they're supposed to be talking about, digital citizenship and what that might mean. And let me just share this with you. You'll see the animation going. And this was after a conversation that we had had in class. So it was not just thrown out there for them to figure out. We talked about this, and they had to convey this message so that they were sharing with another group of kids. If they were to watch this, they could, also have a conversation about what we had talked about. And they can be very creative with this. It allows them a little bit more of an outlet than your typical PowerPoint presentation method. So I like this program itself just for sharing. It also has quite a few capabilities as far as tying it into math and other subject areas. Okay, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. So as you can see, it's more about the conversation, especially when it comes to that type of lesson. The kids just need to have that conversation happen. Okay. In the lower elementary, I do a little bit simpler discussion with them, and I try not to make it scary. I don't want to scare the students because the online world can be very beneficial, especially in education. However, you want to make the point to them that what they do online is a permanent thing. anymore. Things that I know, I'm on Facebook and I post, pictures of my children for people to see and to share that with others, and I know a lot of people do that. But our kids are online even from the time that before they're born, with people posting, might post an ultrasound picture. And the kids need to understand that, especially my son, he's been online even before he even knew he was online. So just talking about that with him and having that conversation. These are my suggestions for having a plan to implementing this, or having it start in your own school. Don't make it complex. It doesn't have to be. Start with one thing that you think your students may need to have more. There is in the book a rubric and a way that you can figure out where you need the most attention spent, and so it really helps you decide where you want to start. Not trying to teach everything at once. A lot of these things do overlap, so I try not to get into one area that we start out in access, talking about having technology available to us, and we get into communication somehow. So picking one area to stick to helps keep it not so complicated for yourself. I guess right now I kind of like to open it up to finding out what is going on at your school. Real quick, I'm going to just go to the next slide. I'm going to have this presentation. I'll upload this for you and have it available. I've got some websites here that are real helpful. These are hot links, so you can go right to the website. And I also included my contact information at the end. Feel free to contact me with any questions. If you'd like to incorporate a project with my students, we can surely do that, so have that there. But I'd like to find out what you're doing at your school and what you feel maybe is most important for your school, and answer any questions. If you have any websites that you'd like to share that are really beneficial, I'm going to go ahead and put a whiteboard up. And if you'd like to type in some information or questions that you have, I don't know if anybody would like to share verbally on a microphone. Maybe just type a note there and we can try to get that up for you. I'm going to stop this sharing and let's see. Let me get the whiteboard up. And over on, let's see, you should see a little box right here with your Whiteboard Tools on the bottom left, or bottom right, excuse me. And if you click that open, it should share your tools with you. That way you can type, thank you. That way you can type a message in there. I just thought this would be a better way to open that up, have a little more room. I'm going to go ahead and type two websites I got from a conference last week. One is Dr. Howie. This is Howie de Blasi. He has a tremendous amount of resources. I would suggest definitely going there. He has some PowerPoints you can download. He has given permission for anyone to use them and share, as long as you give credit to him. And the other one is, I have a note here to myself. Let's see, Kevin Honeycutt. He has a website that has lots and lots of resources as well. And he actually wrote a book called I'll put the book title here, Don't Stay Under the Couch, whoops. Don't Stay Under the Couch, about bullying. And it ties in very well to the conversation about cyberbullying. And it's all about a dog, and so the kids get real attached to the dog, and then you can tie it into cyberbullying and to their own personal use of computers. So I just want to throw those out there. I don't know if any of you have some suggestions. Feel free to go ahead and add those. I'll take any questions or comments. If you have something you want to put in the chat area, that would be fine too. And with both of these websites, look for the downloads tabs. There is lots of information on both of these websites, but feel free to check all that out. Let's see, I'm not sure why it's not coming up. I'm going to go ahead and put them down in the chat area because I don't see them up on the whiteboard. Oops. Let me get those up again. Here's the title of the book. And if you look for the title of the book on his front page of Kevin Honeycutt's site, if you click there, it does have a curriculum guide and some other tools that you can use. It seems that the discussion. Occasionally we do talk about, get into something that's inappropriate. I know right now the thing in the news is sexting. I don't totally avoid it, but I bring it back to an appropriate level of discussion for the group that I'm talking to. If I feel that it's if it's something that is going to go in a more inappropriate direction, then I will either try to talk to that student individually or try to bring it to a level that is more appropriate for my students. But I think it's important to remember that our students how do I want to say this, are encountering more inappropriate things online than what we are talking about with them in the classroom to begin with. So I guess I kind of feel like if you are going to open this discussion of digital citizenship, you have to open it to some inappropriateness to begin with. So you just have to figure out what your students need and where they are. I don't think it's wrong to talk about sexting and to just make them aware that it's inappropriate for them to be doing it. Because obviously if there was nothing inappropriate going on, we wouldn't have to have this discussion. So especially at the lower grades, I try to keep it within their level. So it looks like Kevin has a raised hand. Let's see, I'm not sure how to let him talk. I guess, Kevin, if you push the microphone down at the bottom. Yes.
Like it might be picking me up.
Oh, sorry, I'll do that. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me now? Okay. Am I coming through? The one thing that I was just going to mention is something that citing the we've been teaching staff and students a lot of images that people use, or probably goes along with what you were talking about with there's a lot of information out there, but we got to make sure that of what we're taking off the internet
Hopefully you can hear me. I got cut. It was cutting in and out a little bit. I think what I gathered was that you were talking about making sure that the information and the images and things that we're taking off the internet or using from the internet, and having our students decipher what's appropriate and what they can use and not use. How that's important. Am I right? I don't know. Give me a. I didn't get all of what you said, Kevin. I don't know if we want to try that again. I'll go ahead and release my mic if you want to try again. I'm not sure if it's something on my end that's not coming through. I know I've had some trouble today. No, it's not. I wasn't getting it. I don't know if anybody else did. If you can give me a note there in the box. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and just type what you kind of summarize for us, what you were sharing, or you can put it on the whiteboard there. I don't know if you have that, if that's working for you or not. One thing I do make a big point of, I'll kind of hit on this, is especially with photos and taking information off the web, I try to explain what Creative Commons is, and if you're not sure what that is, that's where people who post their work, okay, good, I see your message there in the chat. We talk about what that means about sharing our work and what it means to let others share our work, and so I show them, and even though they can't do this at school at the moment, I explain to them in detail how to go about getting pictures, because that's one thing that we touch on with our Movie Maker. We tie in Movie Maker with a lot of the projects we do with the digital citizenship, and I explained to them how to go about getting a Creative Commons photograph off of Flickr or any of the other popular sites for photos. And even with other, like music, I explained to them, what does it mean to use music that other people have written, have posted, or have you've purchased. We always get into a big discussion about LimeWire, and I tell them not to bring it, if they got it off LimeWire, to be honest with me, and not bring that to school. So I just teach them how to do it. I show them, a couple times, because they, ask quite a bit, how do I go get my pictures or whatever. And as far as citing, I just tell them that they just need to make sure they give credit that they got that picture from that site, or got that where did they get it from. And even though as educators we don't, we can use things more freely, I still tell my teachers, to make sure they give credit, when they are using that. So I guess I hope that answered your question, and reiterated what you were saying. Yes, I am always amazed at other people I know who are teachers and the things that they post online, and some former students that friend me on Facebook. I don't feel like I should not friend those young people, just because they do need to see what is appropriate and what is not, and hopefully I can be an appropriate influence on those sorts of things. But I'm always amazed that I do tell my students that what you are putting online right now is going to follow you forever. And they have a hard time with that, but I make it real clear that eventually they're going to want to get a job. And are the employers going to want to see the pictures of you and, you know, your friends at a party doing appropriate or inappropriate things, or are they going to want to see that at all? So I get them to think a little bit about that, especially with our young teachers that are just coming into the education field. You know, there's been several cases on the news about people getting asked to leave because of things that they've put online, and employers are now asking you not to do that. So I think this all centers around just having that discussion. And just to kind of tie it up here, I know I'm about to the end of the time, and surely you know, if we want to continue the conversation, we surely can, but have the discussion with students, with the people that you are coming in contact with. If you don't have the discussion, then it's not ever going to happen for our students to learn to be good digital citizens. It is a whole another world, and they are citizens of that world. So I think it's important to talk about it with them and not to hide behind it at all. Be honest, and if they ask questions, that's great, because that's what we encourage them to do as educators. So I don't know if there's any other questions or comments you have to share, but I just think we need to have this conversation more often and more frequently with our students, and tie it into even other classes, you know, to bring that up in all areas. And it's so easy to tie it into the Christian world. So I really do encourage you to take that back with you. Hopefully this was beneficial. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, hopefully, I'm glad, you know, it was a small group, but I'm glad we got the presentation going. My life's been a little crazy lately, so this just, it didn't surprise me in the least as far as technology goes, but hopefully we can continue this conversation and even bring it to a broader sense in our other areas.